Welcome back. So previously we talked about softwares like Cold Turkey. Now we will talk about the mode, and that is space and time. So you should try as much as possible to study or work in the proper time of the day. And the proper time of the day usually is early in the morning, but some people are more productive late at night. Just find your sweet spot. Identify it. We all have different cycles. So identify the sweet spot for you and stick to it as much as you can. And also you should make sure that you study while you are well fed, because your brain is part of your body. If your body lacks energy, your brain is gonna lack energy, and you're not gonna be as productive as you could be. So if you want to focus, you must be well fed, because when you are starving, the animal in you doesn't want you to stay around books, because, well, books are not food. The animal brain of yours wants you to go chasing, so it will not allow you to focus. Now, it's easy to be caught off guard. It's easy to be so taken by what you are studying that you forget to eat. Don't do that. Just feed yourself. Also, you should be comfortable. This seems like obvious, but it's easy to be taken by your work one more time and just forget to make yourself comfortable. So space should be ergonomic. Yeah, it should be comfortable, but it should not by any way be too comfortable. It should not be your bed. Do not study on your bed, because on your bed, your brain is having too much blood because you're lying down. And with that much blood, your brain has a signal that it can sleep. So it gets sleepy and it starts daydreaming, and you're going to start thinking about a bunch of things, a bunch of random, stupid things, instead of concentrating on the task at hand. So do not study on your bed. Now, about the timing, study the proper time of your day, of course, if you have a choice, and study in blocks. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about the Pomodoro Technique. Pomodoro is Spanish for tomato, and basically what the Spaniards would do is that if a Spaniard could work or study for 30 minutes, he will earn a Pomodoro, he will earn a tomato. Then if he can work again for 30 minutes, he will gain another tomato. So now he has 2 tomatoes. So now he is proud. So he is feeding his pride. And you see where this is going, the neuroplasticity explanation of this. Having 2 tomatoes is better than having 1 tomato, especially if you have a friend of yours who only has 1 tomato. And let alone being the guy who has 6 tomatoes. You are feeding your pride. And your pride, what does it do? Yep, it triggers some dopamine release, and dopamine wires your prefrontal cortex, your decision maker, for the habit that gave it dopamine. In this case, it is being able to focus for 6 pomodoros, that is 6 times 30 minutes. So being able to study for 6 times 30 minutes makes you proud, and pride makes you make dopamine, and dopamine tells your decision maker that it's a good decision, and so the decision maker is gonna make you study another time for 6 pomodoros, and it may give you even a 7th pomodoro, and it realizes that with the 7th pomodoro you are more proud, and if you are more proud, it gets more dopamine. If it gets more dopamine, it realizes that it is on the right way, so it again loops around and gives you 1 more pomodoro to get more dopamine, and you are accessing that vicious cycle, but this time the vicious cycle is working for you. And this is what makes the Pomodoro technique so effective. Now, we said 30 minutes. if you can raise 30 minutes to 40 minutes, it's better and it gives you more dopamine. Well, at first you start with 30 minutes, then you can raise it to 40 minutes to get more dopamine, and 50 minutes, you're more proud if you can do it for 50 minutes. I actually happened to be able to do it for 2 hours or more when I was at the peak of my concentration periods. And then between every block of 30 minutes, you go for a little pause, because your brain needs that pause to build certain synapses. Actually, not build synapses, that takes hours, but just modify certain synapses and just think things through one more time. So really, those pauses are very important. The ideal thing to do when you're on a pause is to walk around and maybe laugh around. Really, it does. Laughing and walking leads to a release of endorphins and to release of a bunch of brain chemicals, and these brain chemicals, they stimulate your basal ganglia, and remember that your basal ganglia, they turn on your entire brain. So between every 2 pomodoros, have a pause, walk around, laugh, and get your endorphins to stimulate your brain so you can focus more and more. And actually, these endorphins, they make the release of dopamine stronger. So you have finished the pomodoro, you got a tomato, you get some dopamine, then you walk around, laugh around, get some endorphins, maybe have a snack, that is some food, or even better, sex. Well, actually, try not to take too long. But anyway, any dopamine producing activity, and this will make the dopamine release even stronger. Now, since I'm worried only about dopamine, I could have told you to check the social media during your pause, and this would make sense if we were only considering the dopamine part of the deal. I mean, you tell in your brain every time you finish a pomodoro, you get some dopamine from Facebook. This does make sense, and in theory, this would stimulate your brain. But the problem with social media is that you get a shot of dopamine, but then immediately you get another shot and another shot and another shot, and this succession of shots makes you not want to go back to chase just a single pomodoro. Plus, social media gives you a bunch of informations to process at once, and if you are trying to focus on a topic, then it might be a good idea during your pause to do something more physical than mental, so that you don't put too many ideas in your brain. You know, they say that every day we process 35,000 ideas. Might as well make as many of those 35,000 ideas be about the subject we are trying to focus on. This is why social media is probably not a good thing to do during your pause. Now, the Pomodoro technique, I came up with some kind of twisted Pomodoro technique, the cowboy Pomodoro. It's something crazy that I came up with, when I was preparing for that heavy exam, because, well, imagine yourself spending an entire year studying from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep. Every day. No watching TV, no watching movies, shows, reading books, whatever. Your entire life is that exam. So your brain wants some distraction, and the way to distract myself, to entertain myself, well, I would have a paragraph and be like, okay, I must finish it under those 30 minutes. And if I finish it, instead of just giving the Pomodoro, I be like something more crazy. If I finish it, then on a planet far away, I be able to save the princess, or I be awarded the Nobel Prize, or I will be able to kill the cowboys, whatever. Just imagine some crazy story, and like it or not, it does work. It did allow me to finish incredible amounts of paragraphs under less than 30 minutes to absorb info at much quicker rates. And it made my studying fun at the same time. So I would put a lot of stuff to memorize or study under a short period of time, and this would have for effect on my brain to turn on my emotion centers, to turn on my entire brain. So that's the effect of having time as a countdown. That is, I would put a countdown on my phone for 30 minutes, and I know that it will start ringing after 30 minutes, and that kind of stress and emotions would wake up my brain. Then the story was here to make stuff more fun, to add in a little bit of stress and to engage my brain, because I had to imagine the story and put on some of my occipital lobe, and I was much less likely to get bored. And if I am less likely to get bored, then I can work for longer and I can focus for longer. So even if this idea seems childish, it is very powerful. It allowed me to focus for very long periods. And actually, I really love stuff that are childish, because children have the brains that grow the fastest. So if we are to learn how to use our brains, we're gonna have to do things the way children do. And this will end our video about space and time. See you in the next video.